Support WrestleTalk!
This coming Sunday, it is AEW Revolution on pay-per-view, and we are here to give our predictions for what might be the best pay-per-view card that AEW's ever produced? Ever? Forever? I am, of course, your host, Tempest, alongside my wonderful and lovely co-host, Tempest. Nope, that's my name. My wonderful and lovely
No, you got it right. Tempest's favorite person at WrestleTalk.
Sat Inyangi.
Yes, it is I, your Chief Vibe Officer, CVO, here to give you a dose of prediction love, because we are House of the Black Mask.
And the house always wins. Now, we won't waste any more time, because generally speaking, this is actually quite a condensed AEW pay-per-view card. There are, in total, including the pre-show, 10 matches to discuss, which is not the 14 or 15 that at one point seemed commonplace on AEW pay-per-view, but we'll start with the pre-show and then work our way down the card and finish with the main event. The pre-show, of course, might be one of the easiest ones to predict because it's Big Boom AJ of Costco Guys fame, teaming with the conglomeration Keeping It Alive, Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe, to take on Johnny TV and MXM Collection. Now, I thought Big Boom AJ's match with QT Marshall was pretty gosh darn fantastic. For what it was, for what it needed to be.
Yes.
They got large pops, they didn't mess anything up, kept it real simple, and that's all you needed to do. There's more moving pieces here, but I would like to believe that they will orchestrate somewhat of a similar showing for Big Boom AJ, and I don't think I need to say that I am predicting Big Boom AJ and company to win this match.
Well, Big Boom AJ does have a background as a wrestler, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he was able to have a decent to good match with QT Marshall. And as you said, it's a foregone conclusion who's winning this match. It is going to be Big Boom AJ. Is that? I don't know. Big Boom. Or it's time to feel the boom, or whatever he says. And
you know it's all about the boom.
Oh, sorry. You know it's all about the... Someone else says that. But anyway, yes. Conglomeration, I'm happy they're back. I knew they weren't dead. It just took a break for a little bit because they don't have that sort of commitment to walk out in each other's matches or back each other, so they say. But so I'm going with them. MXM Collection, you know, they're very sassy guys. And Johnny TV, forever underrated as a TV presence, you know.
A Johnny TV presence, if you will. But we're in agreement on who's going to win this match. As for the main card, however, as that is currently the only pre-show match, more might be added as we get in towards the weekend, but as of now, the only one. We'll get into the most recent match added to this card because this card didn't need more, but they've given us more. And I'm very, very much excited to see for the Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King. Talk about a clash of styles. Brody King is phenomenal. Kazuchika Okada, of course, has gone through the other member of the Hounds of Hell in beating Buddy Matthews in Australia. So now we're getting part 2 of this double feature. It's so tough because I could look at like any match on this card and be like, oh, this is one of the matches I'm most looking forward to. Yeah. And it genuinely does apply to just about everything on this card.
That's good.
On a normal card, this would stand out as like, well, there's a potential match of the night right there. And it still might be, but it's going to have a lot of work. I could see this one going either way. I don't think currently that Kazuchika Okada is going to lose the title. If there is a God, it means that we're going to get eventually the Intercontinental Championship match, the unification match between perhaps a soon-to-be champion and still reigning champion Okada, merge their two belts together at some point down the line, maybe a Forbidden Door match. I would love to see that considering it's here. Maybe it All In Texas. Who knows? Either way, I'm going to hedge my bets and say Kazuchika Okada retains.
I think you nailed it. I think because they've got the looming cloud of Kenny Omega and Okada having a match at All In, I think it's safe to say whatever title defense that Okada has is a foregone conclusion is going to win. What I'm excited about is not titles changing hands. No, it is big, meaty man Brody King potentially caving in Okada's chest, and Okada has to fight from underneath or do something different. It's always exciting because you know what an Okada match is. It's very much like an independent 2-hour film or 2.5 hour. He's giving an hour setup. Then probably the final 45 minutes is boom! You didn't see that coming. That's how Okada works. But Brody King is very explosive in the ring, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Obviously, some limb work's going to be done. But to, answer this question a bit quicker, I think Okada's going to win. But I'm excited for the increase in stature for Brody King because he's got potential to be world champion if they continue to give him this sort of matches.
I would love to see it. I love getting to see Brody King in big spots. He deserves the world. He's fantastic. I love it dearly, and I'm looking forward to this match. Then we have the steel cage rubber match of sorts here between Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Now, this one properly has been going on for a long, long time. This has been the story that Will Ospreay has been entrenched in since All In, All Out, Shake It All About, that kind of time frame.
Love it.
And you'd have to imagine that one way or another, this will be a bit of a stopping point for it. I think if we continue on past Revolution with Don Callis family, Will Ospreay rivalry stuff, I will probably start to run my course with it a little bit. But that being said, this has been a phenomenal rivalry between these two in particular. Nothing but great matches, of which they're known for. But now as we start getting into what will likely be their final match for a bit, inside a steel cage, anticipation is high.
Very much so.
I'd think, again, that Will Ospreay probably wins this one. He lost the big one, the big first one at Full Gear, and that's good. We all predicted it ahead of time, and I think that was absolutely the right decision. Got his win back at World's End in the final of the, I think it was the Gold League of the Continental Classic. But that match felt more to me like a bit of the appetizer. That wasn't the full main course.
No.
He wins with the Styles Clash. It is the first of his two performances in the night, Will Ospreay's is. And so it leaves a lot more for them to do in their eventual third match, which is really their fourth if you count their one on TV from a year ago. But this is the culmination of it all. I'd like to think that the babyface, who is a big deal and should be elevated to the point where maybe at some point this year or early next is world champion. Not to say you couldn't heat him up if he lost, but I think the right direction here is for Will Ospreay to finally shut the door on the Don Callis family and walk out with a win.
I agree with you. Like another match that's on the card tonight, it is a case of like a heel has been riding high on the notoriety of beating a wrestler with a big performance. So Kyle Fletcher's made it his singles career off the fact they beat Will Ospreay very decisively. Very emphatically dominated him, and that's created him. It's put him in a new light. He's been television champion. He was like, he's just holding the belt while his partner's injured. But since that match and onwards, with the presentation change, you can see that Kyle Fletcher has become a project of sorts for AEW to the point where I make jokes that he's now usurped Sammy Guevara in that spot. Whatever spot Sammy had for years is like, this is the young guy we could potentially move up to the top of the card. Kyle just shot right through and passed with flying colors because not only has his heel run landed, his promo's been fantastic. He's got into great physical shape. He's got even more abs than he's ever had before. If you go and see a couple of years ago when he had floppy hair, wearing tight elbow pads, barely any abs there. So maybe some definition. But this guy's now he's got a row of abs. So he's taking that push very seriously. To answer your question quickly, Will Ospreay is going to win because he's got big business. But it's not about who wins the match, which of course will be Ospreay. It's about what do you do next with Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, and that I think is very interesting, and we will probably get into that in our AEW Dynamite review, which we have yet to record, but you can now go back and watch if you haven't already here on the WrestleTalk podcast channel. However, I'm very interested to see how the cage plays into these guys, because they are phenomenal. They're phenomenal together. They work very well with their environment.
Yes.
They use a lot of things to their advantage in that, and I don't know what we're going to see, but I'm very excited because they're two very creative guys. And being able to play with something that is a steel cage and you don't often get to work within those limitations, but really, creative just components that you can put together and use these tools that you can use, whatever. I'm really interested to see how all of that plays out.
But I am actually worried about one thing, and it's the Mark Davis factor. Because they've done this thing where he's there's a servitude towards the Don Callis family, and I think it's harming him because the fans don't particularly, to be blunt, they don't care about him at the moment because he hadn't been in the company long enough when he got injured. He was part of a tag team, so you didn't get to know who he was. He was just like the big burly one from Aussie Open. With Kai, we had time to get to know him, flesh out them promos. We know who he is. So because he's nondescript at the moment, it's kind of like make him a heel. You see him in the ring, he's a flipping hoss. I think they should actually lead into him making a decision, but I'm worried that the Mark Davis factor is he may potentially cost Kyle Fletcher at some point and is not going to give it a decisive victory, or is a continue this storyline which should have ended with him. That chair shot to Will Ospreay should have been the definitive decision of like, yeah, I'm signed to you, I don't have to be, but I'm going to do it. I'm just gonna go with it. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit like Big Show authority thing. Just do Big Show finally accepting that he's a bad guy. I'm tired of it. It's a bit soap opera. It's taken away from what's been a great rivalry.
Well, we will see. I don't know if it culminates, his arc culminates on this show. It may be a longer deal, but we will see one way or the other.
Yeah.
Then, one of the matches. Again, I know I've just said that you can say about all of these matches that is one I'm most looking forward to. Mm-hmm. But perhaps the best storyline setup that we have had of any of these matches has been between MJF and Hangman Page. This storyline has been everything that I've wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. I keep, I say waiting, but crossing my fingers it doesn't happen for Jeff Jarrett to show back up in MJF's life and pick that up where they left it.
Right.
I'm hoping that we just don't. We don't need to. You know, particularly not now, because I'm enjoying this so much. Hangman Page and MJF is maybe the match on this show that I could most see going either way.
Really? Well, I've got sat math. This is sat math. Hangman Page hasn't won matches on the pay-per-view in a while.
Not since All Out.
Yeah, MJF has been winning his matches. He beat Adam Cole. He beat Daniel Garcia. Has been winning his matches. So sat math is the Hangman Page's dual win, because what a great way to cut the legs of a newly turned babyface or anti-hero than to have him to lose. Because like you said, they've had matches before, and I think MJF won the Diamond Ring situation. I think Adam Page needs to win this. The fans are with him. He's more over than his current push is, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. He's in great storylines, but it's like the company never put on the full gas with him. It's just like we see the potential. We know how talented he is. We're just hoping the management see it. He's a heel. MJ should lose. It should go increasingly unhinged. That should be part of his storyline this year, is like he's unraveling further and further and further until, he faces someone that makes him collide with who he's become. Page should win. I think he should win. Will he win? I hope so, but
it's a very interesting dynamic that we're working with here, because if you just take a step back and look at it as like the directions that both men have been on, I completely agree. I think Hangman Page is absolutely due a win, a big win, and I was one of the ones who was kind of going like, I don't know if I would have had Switchblade beat him 2 pay-per-views in a row in the fall after everything we did. That sort. And simultaneously, MJF has been winning his pay-per-view matches in recent memory. So you've got that kind of balance. However, where I don't think I would have as much of an issue with it in this case is I am so invested in the story that I am giving them 100% of the benefit of the doubt with regards to this story, that whoever wins, it will be because the narrative is pushing forward and will serve the overall narrative, because I think you could go either way with it. If Hangman wins, I think you absolutely could have MJF descending further into this insecure madness that he's found himself in. Additionally, it's MJF. I think him cheating to win and holding that over Hangman Page and having Hangman's insecurities be what maybe has cost him in this match, or that can be what they play through to get through the next few weeks. I could see it going either way. I've predicted a couple of babyface wins on this show already. I'm going to go with MJF to win this one.
Interesting. I mean, if you want to extend the feud, I was thinking it could be a one and done.
Yeah, it could be.
Or not one and done, but as in one and done for now. I mean,
come back to it later for the title, maybe.
Swerve Lashley being an example. It's kind of like, Page has his win now, potential win the world title this year, and then he's like, hey, Or who knows? But you're right. MJF does have the fail-safe of cheating.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for the fact that Page has lost all of his pay-per-view matches, I wouldn't have an issue with it. It's just like he needs a win. It's almost like in our Lord of 2025, Hangman Adam Page is yet to be a big winner on a big show. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And the other half of the Hangman Adam Page coin here, Swerve Strickland taking on Ricochet once again. In a number one contenders match. The winner becomes the next in line for the AEW World Championship. Talk about another program that has been an absolute highlight of TV. I've spoken it to death that Ricochet's turnaround has been the most surprising and most just pleasantly surprising that I've seen in wrestling in quite some time. I don't think he's going to win this match, though. I think he got his win over Swerve Strickland on Dynamite. I think that's really big for him. I'm really happy that he got that win. I think now, because you talk about people who have been losing a lot of big matches on pay-per-view as of late, Swerve needs a big win. And judging by what the main event picture kind of looks like and what I'm assuming is going to happen there, I don't see Ricochet as like the number one contender for the title right now.
What, Cope versus Ricochet, no?
Well, we never know. We might get there. He loves spearing people out of midair. But I think if you have Swerve go in, beat Ricochet here, get the robe back, be number one contender, that's your direction either for Dynasty or before that even, if you want to. And then again, you have the third match set up. Maybe you main event Double or Nothing with Ricochet versus Swerve for the title in their third match, their rubber match. I think that is your next few months set up marvelously. But really, Swerve badly needs a win on pay-per-view.
It is kind of weird that both Hangman Page and Swerve are on losing streaks on pay-per-views. Doesn't make sense, right? You think, like, because they're some of the biggest... It's kind of like hearing, Austin and Rock have been losing them... What?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. But at the same time, it goes to show you how deep the roster is and how their selflessness has helped... Actually, no, Swerve's selflessness has helped Ricochet because a few months ago when he debuted, I likened him to like Kenta when he debuted in New Japan. Nobody accepted him. His match performances wasn't particularly great as you want it to be, but he's turned things around. I mean, his character is this dweeby psychopath, and I love it because it's layers. Because what I tend to hate is one-note villains. I tend to hate like, I'm angry. Even right now, his promos, he's so deluded, and I love when he did it. We're going to talk about it in a Dynamite podcast review, but he tells you the backs of why he is the way he is, the machinations, and why he's a sociopath, and he blames everyone else. He's also almost like a tragic figure. It's almost like, I came to a new company. You know when you start a new job, you go, endless possibilities. I start this new job. It's going to go better than my last job, but everyone's so mean to me. My work's not going the way I want it to be, and then now I'm snapping because you guys pushed me to the edge. You almost kind of feel for him. Almost. But I'm looking forward to it. There's been lots of blood, potentially. A lot of scissors. If it was Vince Russo booking this, it would be a scissors on the pole.
Oh my
match.
God, you're so right.
and then as Swerve's getting the scissors, no, what are you doing? Low blow. And then he helps Ricochet with and he does the dots.
I don't know how we got down a Vince Russo rabbit hole here, but you're right. You're right. And I am very excited to see what a big loss will do for this character of Ricochet as well. Like, there's stuff to play with here. This is not the end of Ricochet's ascent by any means. If he continues on the trajectory that he's on, having something more to, like, just sink deeper within himself, I think will only do his character that much more good. Next up is probably one of the more predictable matches on the main card. It is for the TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. I have been pleading with the LA crowd, and granted, California has been doing very well on AEW TV as of late.
Amen.
Very good crowds. So I have no reason to doubt that they will treat all the matches on this card with the utmost respect. But this is one where I look at it and I think they potentially need it because there's no real storyline going into it. Momo Watanabe won the 4-way match at Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th. That earned her a title shot. She picks Mercedes Moné. They've wrestled before, but they're going to go in and just have a great match.
Yeah.
You know? I don't think anybody is going to go in here predicting that Momo Watanabe is going to win the title.
What?
And that's fine. Oh, I'm sorry, I stole your thunder. You did. No, like, Mercedes Moné is going to be your TBS champion for a little while longer. All I want out of this is for the people to recognize that what they're seeing is going to be a special match.
Yeah, you know what? People on X, formerly known as Twitter, has Mercedes effed up. Because
Popping peas.
I'm popping peas on the microphone because she is always delivering in the ring. Even when the match is not great, she was giving her all. Yeah, her finishing move is a bit polarizing. It's kind of like the batting average is not particularly great depending who's taking it. Momo doesn't seem like the type that will take. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the match on paper is destined to be great. We're hoping the crowd will go along for the ride because this is just a prelude to a bigger storyline they seem to be building to because there's other moving pieces involved. Big Billy Starks, and a potential arrival of Athena. But again, that's a conversation for another time, but we're keeping it condensed to the actual match. I'm excited about it. If you're a follower of Stardom or you want to know about Stardom, you're going to get an appetizer with this match because you might get Joshi Monet in the ring because people say Joshi Monet is different from AEW Monet. So you're going to see a cross correlation, if you will, of that two together.
Can't wait. So, of course, we've both gone with Mercedes Moné. If you want to watch a match tonight and you want to treat yourself, go on to New Japan World and watch a three-way match. I believe it's from Sakura Genesis 2023, I suppose it would have been. It's Azumi, Hazuki, and Mercedes Moné in a three-way, and it's bloody fantastic.
You heard him right here, man.
You love Joshi Moné. Then we have the actual most easily predicted match. We hurt people. It's the Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. This was a bit of a surprise, given the direction that it appeared that we were going in regarding the Murder Machines and the Hurt Syndicate. That looked like the natural setup for Revolution, but not getting there yet. Probably will at some point. Maybe they just wanted another month's build to do that. Maybe it was just so we could get more time to do singles match combinations between the guys. Maybe it's a way that we can get Shelton Benjamin and Lance Archer having an old Suzuki-Gun reunion or something like that. I doubt it. Who knows? It's important to me. But one way or another, we have ended up with this mismatch. I have to imagine this is going to be like, you always look at a card that could end up being a little bit bloated and go like, okay, what's going to be the short match? There it is. I would expect this to go like 5 minutes maybe, and it could be a good 5 minutes, a heated 5 minutes. You can give a real big hope spot for the baby faces, but generally speaking, I see this going very much the same way that the Guns match and the Private Party match went, where Outrunners get a bit of a hot start and then they get dropped. They maybe get one clear near fall, but then it is just domination and the Hurt Syndicate retain.
This equates to a clown creating a balloon slingshot and a balloon rock aiming it at Goliath, and Goliath's going to trample all over him. That is my analogy. That's what you're getting. But to add more, I'm interested in the fact that the Hurt Syndicate, have stopped the recruitment drive, and I find it quite interesting. Is it because a certain, Cedric Alexander could potentially? The reason I say that is MVP has a history of being a consigliere of getting people in the front door. Carlito being one, he wanted Carlito in the front office for WWE, and he squashed the beef that he had with Chris Jericho. MVP is very good at brokering peace. If anyone that can get Cedric in there will be MVP. He will sit there with Tony Khan, explain to him, hey, we're the moving pieces, we need Cedric. Because I know there's a lot of people on social media saying, no, not Cedric, get someone else. But I'm like, Cedric Alexander, the best he's ever been in terms of wrestling mainstream, outside of ROH and the stuff done in PWG. In terms of mainstream wrestling, the best he's ever been outside the Cruiserweight Classic was being part of the Hurt Business. So it makes sense that a guy as talented Cedric, I used to call him Black Roderick Strong, because he's like two guys that break your back, really talented in the ring, but when it came to the charisma part, that came back. That was behind the work rate. So he's the kind of guy, he needs to be in a group, feel comfortable. Because at the time, people were saying Ricochet. But Ricochet, I see him as an upper mid-carder. He does not need a group. If anything, I'll be like, Stokely, where are you? Be his manager.
Right.
If Samantha's not going to debut to be Ricochet's manager, Stokely. But going back to what I'm talking about here, Cedric Alexander.
I like that idea, I must say.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander, potentially. I'm just putting it out there. But Outrunners, they're super over. It makes sense. I'm a bit worried in an alternative universe, Vince Russo would book that the Murder Machines will screw out Hurt Syndicate and the Outrunners will have a surprise victory, then lose it on Dynamite.
God, no. No, you mustn't. This tag run is too great to not go on for like most of the year.
Yeah,
And I am assuming that is what we're gonna see.
We are, and I'm gonna drop my Vince Russo bit now. I'm gonna retire right here. Right now, it's retired. I was just saying that a crazy booker could just do this.
Yeah.
Just like crazy booker could do this. But I'm happy that the Hurt Syndicate are on the show because we haven't seen them in weeks. So I'm happy that we're gonna see a Shelton Benjamin is gonna be on a big pay-per-view.
It's always a highlight to see. Next up, it is the Hollywood finale, Hollywood ending. In a Falls Count Anywhere match for the AEW Women's Championship, it's Toni Storm versus Mariah May. They've come right back to this one fairly quickly after their Grand Slam match. There was some thought that maybe we would go in a different direction and then we would come back around together in a little bit of time, considering the gap between All In and Grand Slam. But that's not the direction. We're going right back to it. They have really turned up the intensity of this feud on TV in a way that has really worked for me. So I'm excited to see this match. I have seen a lot of people say that this should be the main event of the pay-per-view, given how much has gone into this storyline. I don't know that will be the case just because of what else could potentially happen with the world title and everything. But through nothing but their own, I've lost the word for it, but their own merits. This is a main event level match.
It is.
And they've had nothing but good matches together so far. And now, if ever there has been a surefire, like, break glass in case of emergency, you need a fantastic match, put the AEW women in like a hardcore death match, no DQ, Falls Count Anywhere type thing.
Yes, sir.
It is, without exception, phenomenal. And I think we're going to see the latest in that. Tony's just won the title. I think Tony wins this match.
You know what? I get it. And in terms of Wrestling 101, the feud should breathe for a bit before you reconvene and do it again. But I think it comes to a point of how long the feud's been going on for. They just want to put a pin on it. It's kind of like, what does Mariah May look like post Tony feud? We don't know. That's what I'm excited about because we know that Toni Storm's going to win. We know she's going to go and have a rogues gallery of women. They seem to be building Megan Bain as potential person to face a potential David and Goliath kind of feud. You've got this goddess and you got this Hollywood starlet. Put them together, clash of styles, clash of images. That's what I'm looking forward to. But while Mariah May finds who is Mariah May, will Mariah May start her own group? Will Mariah May have someone in her corner? I don't know what's next for her. But all I know is that this feud has been magnificent, one of the best feuds ever. It's arguably the greatest female feud ever in terms of execution and matches. I mean, you're the list man. You might do a list of them matches potentially.
It's always difficult. I mean, you talk about like anywhere in the world, and there's probably Manami Toyota had a lot of really good matches.
She did.
Put my Joshi hat on. But if you're looking at North American TV wrestling type,
that's what I meant.
There's very few that you could genuinely say would enter into this because. There are great storylines that have subpar matches, and there are great matches that were let down by subpar storylines.
Yes.
And this one has found its sweet spot. I think the Mariah May's title reign was fairly mediocre in the middle of that, and that does drag it down a little bit in terms of significance. But generally, when it is just them two, the build-up and then the matches they've had, it's very, very good. By far the best thing that AEW has produced in its women's division, I think.
Bingo.
But I think we're both in agreement. Toni Storm is.
So it's Tony.
It's too soon for her to lose this title. It makes more sense for her to be on top and moving on again.
I have my Jamie agenda to see through to the end. So
as soon as she gets that visa sorted, we're back
Jamie
in business.
And in time, screw you for making fun of me looking like Daphne Blake.
Right, as we get into our final couple of matches here, we've got the AEW International Championship. It's Konosuke Takeshita defending against Kenny Omega in a rematch of their classic from All Out. This match, Takeshita stole the show last year in his match with Will Ospreay, and now he's going to go in there against Kenny Omega, and it's impossible to look at that combination of two names and not think we're about to see a match of the year contender. I don't know what this match is going to be. I've seen a lot of people debating whether we will get something akin to the match that we got at All Out, where it's like, two equals kind of going in and just seeing who's better and all of this. I've seen other people say that the story here is well, Kenny Omega's not what he was, but he has so much heart and fire that he's able to overcome a superior athlete in Konosuke Takeshita. I think I'd probably be leaning more in that direction, just because it does show the elevation of Kenny Omega as a character in this new stage of his career. Because we haven't seen him in big singles matches since his return outside of the Gabe Kidd match, which basically doesn't count in the AEW sphere because he just went in there and was like, no, I'm Kenny Omega. I'm the best wrestler alive. I'm going to have a 5-star match with this kid.
Well,
it's going to be amazing. Yeah, he absolutely had to. But since then, he wrestled Brian Cage and it was like, ooh, I'm hurt. Ooh, I don't know if I can do my flips the same way. It's like, I know you can, but this storyline that he is doing just shows how much of an artist he is as an in-ring physical performer. I think he wins the title because, again, I've got my Intercontinental Championship agenda that I am pushing for a big unification match between Okada and Omega at a big show in the near future. But if you put a gun to my head and said, what will the best match?
Which I wouldn't do, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I would just act like a normal person. Just ask him. No guns involved.
Absolutely not. If you asked me what the best match on this card would be,
yes, sir,
I'm going to say Konosuke Takeshita and Kenny Omega.
I agree. You painted the match so beautifully, so I'm not going to blather on because you laid the foundation so wonderfully and so eloquently.
Thank you.
All I'm going to say is that Konosuke Takeshita is the version of Konosuke Takeshita I've always wanted him to be, because he went through a year where he wasn't really winning matches or wasn't really appearing as often, but he's become a fixture. The Don Callis family 3.5%, because it's gone through many different iterations, but 3.5, 3.0, 4.0, this version has been the best one, the least channel changing version. I feel like everyone involved in the group has a new purpose, a new meaning, and they seem like they're more hungry and more determined, and Konosuke Takeshita being smacking it at the ballpark, but it's time for Kenny to get his win back in Wrestling 101. And it also makes sense because there's that win that Kenny has never gone back. He's lost him twice, and it makes sense for him to beat his protege and then take the Continental title, take the international title, take it to Texas, and take that Continental, make the Intercontinental, or what if you just call it the Continental Inter, just like an idiot. Imagine someone misses the point. You're like, they're going to call it is the Continental Inter title. Or
WWE used to do that kind of thing. Yeah. Like the title names that they came up with for a while, they kept leaving them up to fan votes, and the fans kept voting wrong.
Continental, the Continental title, the AEW Continental title. So I can't wait for that match.
Yeah.
Kenny wins.
Kenny wins. We're going to have a new champion. The babyface run of Kenny Omega that we have always deserved but never gotten in AEW. Right. It's going to start now.
Which brings us golden shower jets.
Oh, God. That's a horrible combination of words. They really named their finisher the Golden Shower. Why did they do that? Why do they do that? That's horrible.
When it pisses, it pours. I don't know.
Yeah. Piss and rain.
Piss and rain.
Which brings us to our main event.
What, piss and rain?
No. Enough out of you. I'm trying to segue out of this.
Sorry.
The AEW World Championship match between Jon Moxley and Cope. This has been obviously a lot of people's least anticipated match on the show, or in the conversation at least. When the early card was coming together, it was certainly one of the ones that people were not enthused about. Okay. I think since then they've actually done a pretty good job of hyping this match up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really, since Tony Khan reportedly kind of took a bit of the book back and took this over a little bit, we've had a lot more of what I wanted out of the Death Riders in general. But in terms of just a Cope AEW World Championship title hunt storyline, you know, it's all been very good. And I think the Australia Grand Slam crowd reaction really ignited a bit of that. And he has been able to really, like, yeah, people are going to sing my song and these are my people. And he's going to get really passionate about that. I think that has worked very much into this match's advantage. It's still like maybe bottom 3 in terms of matches I'm looking forward to on this show, you know, but it has gone way up in my enthusiasm for it. I don't know which way I'm going with it anymore. I thought for a long time that this was just a foregone conclusion. Let's fast forward through this feud so we can get to someone who will actually win the title.
Yeah.
And now I'm not so sure.
Dude, I have so many scenarios in my head. Like right now, just as a default, I'm saying Moxley wins. With the parenthesis of potentially Christian Cage cashing in and winning, or Jay White remembering his switchblade and he can't be trusted, or Wheeler Yuta, that was always Swerve, you actually are still a Death Rider and you're gonna step up when Mox actually needs you. So it seems like it's written in the stars, in the clouds, that this was going to happen, but I don't know. But I'm gonna go with Moxley winning because it seems that they have a plan they need to get to, or it could be a short detour stop, convoluted stop where Christian wins. Cope wins, then Christian wins, and then Mox gets. Someone gets to tell you. Anyway, yeah, I can't predict it, but I'm going to go with Mox right now because if I continue talking here, we'll be here for 20 minutes, me doing this. I'm going to be like this GIF and with my boards of reasons.
Pepe Sylvia. Listen, like I said, for a long time, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Jon Moxley was going to just hold this title until Darby Allin comes back. We could go on, do whatever they were going to do initially. However, something about the last month or so, and I am not even advocating for this idea necessarily.
I mean, that's your boy.
He's my boy. Listen, when I look back at the lineage of the AEW World Championship and it says Adam Copeland on it, I won't be mad at that. But I'm not advocating for this decision creatively. I think Cope's gonna win the belt. And Christian's going to cash in on him, and Christian will walk out of Revolution as AEW World Champion.
If it was the Christian of a year or two ago, I'd be like, sure, why not? But it's not the same Christian as been.
I completely agree.
Unfortunately, they forgot to do the part of keep him heated.
Yeah.
They haven't. He's not even a featured act anymore.
No.
Again, there's something off about him and his team, and it's kind of coming to the forefront of his presentation. So if you gave him a title, it would be like, oh, okay, we invest. Danielson had a plastic bag over his head for this.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of upset people because it's not like we're hating on Christian. Again, if it was a couple of years ago, sure. But we're a couple of years removed. So many moving pieces. The Dynasty era happened and everything else, and Death Riders, and we had a new Elite. Everything's happened in that time. So, can we just retcon that this contract exists, or can he just lose?
He could do. Absolutely. Maybe. All of these are semi-acceptable answers, I suppose.
No.
But you do have to get rid of this contract at some point.
I see it. No, but I do see it. So Cope wins. Jay White's like this. Blade Runner. And then
Yeah.
Why did he do it? Because he was promised a match. They might convoluted that Christian promised him a match, and he seems like you're an easier target than him. Sure, why not? So who knows?
Who knows? The only thing that goes with this that I think fits a little bit is just that Christian and Swerve was a world title match that they did last year, and if they set that up as and your first title defense, Christian, is against Swerve, just like it was in the reverse of last year. I'm like, well, that fits. I don't know how much I want that. It wouldn't be terrible.
No, you're going to be that guy. We could have had Mox and Swerve, but we missed the mark.
Yeah. Well, listen, timing, you pivot. And we've already seen AEW has done a number of pivot jobs thus far, particularly with an MJF and Hangman Page. But you've gone with Mox. I've gone with Cope.
Yes.
That is where we are going to leave our predictions for AEW Revolution. Luke and I will be here to review the show on Monday on the WrestleTalk podcast channel. So make sure that you are subscribed and make sure that you have notifications on so you never miss when we go live. I have been Tempest. That has been Sat. Also, make sure to watch our AEW Dynamite review here on the WrestleTalk podcast channel. We wish you a very lovely weekend, and we will see you soon.
The house always window cleaners. Copyright.
What?